All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're here for Beat the Banks. This is our weekly community training from Beacon DeFi. I'm your host, Professor Chris, co-founder of Beacon DeFi. And today, what we normally do on this show is we go over DeFi concepts to help anyone who needs that type of help to get that. But today we're doing something a little bit different. We're actually going to be using this as a platform to introduce a brand new product to you guys. So this, if you guys have been watching our TVL podcast that happens every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, you know these two gentlemen here. They are our partners from the BitTensor subnet number 8, the proprietary trade network from Taoshi. We have head of marketing Luke and also head of developer relations Ken. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us, man.
Thanks,
Always
Chris.
excited. It's my second time this week.
I know.
I was here last
we had
week.
Luke on last week.
Hell yeah.
Taoshi all over the place. I love it.
Taoshi all over the place. Taoshi on top, man. TOT. Love it. What I wanted to really just kind of talk about here is, tell us a little bit more about the announcement for 0xMarkets, because actually there's quite a few things that are part of this launch. You guys kind of took over an existing subnet for this. You've rebranded it to a new subnet in the BitTensor ecosystem called Cartha. Is that the correct way to pronounce it?
Correct. Yeah, it's named after the ancient city of Carthage. It was a center of trade in its prime, I believe, in North Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the inspiration for the name.
Yeah,
that was Arash's idea.
Yeah, the previous subnet was owned by the people we sort of partnered with. Were kind of, it's a
Contango.
Yeah,
Contango
joint
Digital
venture.
Assets / General Tao Ventures. Yeah.
So it's not fully just Taoshi. We're working with another awesome team, Contango. And we commandeered the subnet with them. Wasn't a forceful takeover, so it was all peaceful. But yeah, the 35.
Because it used to be called what, LogicNet or something like that?
LogicNet. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Well, let me just show the website real quick so the people can see the beautiful where we're at currently. This is a very interesting website in terms of how you guys are approaching this, because the idea of a perpetual DEX is not new to DeFi. Perps are they're a synthetic asset that are native to DeFi, as opposed to what you would find up in the traditional finance world, where it's more of like it's a DeFi version of an option that doesn't have an expiration date. So, Luke, I'll start with you, man. Why don't you introduce a little bit about, what was the thoughts about having a perp DEX on BitTensor infrastructure, and exactly how is it separating itself from what we might have already seen in DeFi with a regular perp DEX?
Yeah, so I think this is something obviously we're really excited about. This has been in the works, I think, for really the last 2 months or so. And we saw kind of a twofold opportunity. One is, BitTensor, has generally been advertised kind of as this AI incentive protocol, when in reality, it's just an incentive protocol in a lot of ways. And you can use BitTensor to incentivize different types of innovation across many different industries. So we saw the opportunity to use it as a liquidity provider for DEX, which is what we're building with 0xMarkets. And then the other opportunity we saw is, there's a lot of barriers to entry globally. You look at traditional Web 2 CFDs and brokerages. Oftentimes there's capital requirements, regulatory issues, all these sorts of different things that prevent individuals from coming on board and trading. And we want to lower those barriers as much as we can. For those who don't know about Forex, it's actually, I would say generally, it's very not super known. Most people I know generally crypto native or equities, but Forex is actually the largest financial market in the world. It does $7.5 trillion per day in average value. And really what you're doing in Forex is, you have all these global currency pairs like the US dollar, Japanese yen, Canadian dollar, Swiss franc, etc., that move against each other relative to each other. So, Euro versus USD is the most traded pair in the world. And you're trading those pairs either, directionally long or short, betting on them to go up or down versus each other. So kind of similar in the sense to most assets, like you're betting on Bitcoin to go up versus the US dollar if you're long. and vice versa if you're short. So we want to enable, you know, anyone to try and come on to 0xMarkets and trade this highly liquid, deep market that's been gated behind institutions and other barriers for so long. And then beyond that, we also want to offer things like crypto, commodities. Think gold, silver, oil. I think we're going to eventually look into like tokenized bonds and stocks. So we really want it to be a comprehensive way to trade global financial markets. I think that's the best way to think about it because I've obviously focused heavily on forex and what I've said here, but the opportunity is much larger. So we want to be able to provide a great user experience, just like Hyperliquid does. Obviously, they're the crypto native version of this that has done amazing and came onto the scene so strongly in the last year or so. We want to expand upon that and really kind of go beyond what is just crypto or equities or commodities or what have you.
Yeah, one of the things I've heard through the community, people saying Hyperliquid on steroids. So, you can think Hyperliquid Forex, but powered by BitTensor. So, really excited about this. The team has been working super hard under the scenes, behind the scenes, like Luke said, for the past couple of months. So, we announced it yesterday, and reception's been great, and excited to continue to work on this. It's kind of a combination of so many smart people. At the Taoshi team, this is something we're familiar with. And also Contango, really smart guys on that side of things. And just kind of a combination of a lot of smart people. So excited to get this out and to work on this. And yeah.
Yeah, I would add too that I think it's a really cool opportunity in terms of the way that we're building this as a joint venture. We're working with Contango Digital Assets, which is also synonymously General Tao Ventures. And Arash has noted publicly he thinks Victor from GTV is probably the best architect of subnet design in the world. So I think he's put together something really unique here for Kartha. And then we have a lot of that trading native expertise with Arash's expertise. I'm very involved in the trading side. And we have a lot of really great engineers who are very familiar with this kind of stuff too. So I think we're kind of really bringing these two high-powered BitTensor native teams into one coalesced project, which is the consumer-facing platform of 0xMarkets, and then the Kartha, which is the underlying protocol that provide liquidity to the DEX. So obviously, really excited about it. Right now, I think we're really looking to get an initial product out, like a V1 of the DEX, within 90 days at the latest. I'm not sure when we'll have the infrastructure ready for Kartha to, begin having miners provide liquidity. Obviously, it needs to be before that 90-day mark. And then we'll bring on beta testers slowly and begin onboarding them. So if you're interested in the beta, it's right on our website. Just submit with an email. Yeah, that's a very,
team.
very high level look.
Yeah.
The dream team is right.
The Avengers.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Ken, just with what you guys have built with PTN and adapters and all that, will that also have like a pipeline into Kartha? Will there be some interaction there between there and Taoshi?
Yeah, there's some ideas there about glitch and PTN being available through tie in somehow on 0xMarkets. We're still kind of fleshing some of that stuff out, but there's so much synergies. Of course, at Taoshi, we're already kind of native to a lot of the stuff. Luke, Arash, a lot of those guys are deep in. I myself am more of a technical guy, so the deck side of things is much more my forte. But on the trading, if you will, side, we have some really smart people. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of things that we could plug SN8 to into SN35, even other BitTensor subnets. So what we really like, what Victor from Contango's really done well at is designing this flywheel. So this flywheel will where all the layers are kind of adding to this feedback loop of alpha tokens, of SN8, of SN35, trading fees, USDC, all this stuff that's really just help making this ecosystem a strong ecosystem, not only for all parties. So those who supply the liquidity, the alpha token, all the different parts have this really just cohesive a nicely designed flywheel that just really props up each layer of this whole system, this whole beast that we're building.
Yeah, and if you check
Yeah,
out the website, there's a light paper that has a lot of what Ken is just talked about here. And so, Luca, didn't mean to cut you off there. Go ahead and keep talking.
Yeah, I was just going to add into the point to your kind of initial question. The way it'll really tie in is, as you know, we have Glitch, which is our automated trading platform. We have SN8, which is we're trying to, source these quant signals across various markets. The flow would be, we have quant submitting signals to PTN. We take those signals, make them sophisticated strategies accessible through Glitch, and then Glitch users would be able to use 0xMarkets to trade those strategies automatically. So essentially integrating Glitch as an exchange option for users, integrating 0xMarkets as an exchange option for Glitch users. So that's really like one of the main avenues. I know that we're discussing other things and other synergies between PTN, between Glitch, and between some of other Contango related products. I think Ken could maybe speak to some of those things more. But I think they're more so still in kind of like the ideation stage at this point, whereas like the Glitch and 0xMarkets tie-in are obviously, it's right there. It's low hanging fruit. So
Yeah, it's a really nice side piece to what you guys have this is a really natural fit, I think, for what you guys have in your ecosystem. Really cool that you guys are using native USDC specifically as the main currency inside for trading. That's also very similar to what Hyperliquid is doing. Um, as a liquidity provider, that's probably the one thing that most people are going to be very interested in, because miners in your ecosystem, that requires a little bit of liquidity. It also requires a little bit of commitment and trading skills. So from a liquidity provision standpoint, what can people look forward to with regards to trading and supplying liquidity to trading services on this platform?
What I like about this is it's pretty. Yeah, the thing about BitTensor, sometimes the barrier of entry is pretty difficult. How do I become a miner? How do I add to the BitTensor network? What they've designed here is you're a miner by supplying a USDC. So something a lot of people are already familiar with. You can get this on Coinbase. So what we're doing and what will be done is making it easy for people to be a miner on 0x markets. So this will be on base, which is a lot of people where a lot of liquidity is at currently. You will supply your USDC. You'll not only earn alpha tokens from supplying your USDC, but you'll also earn fees from the exchange. So we kind of have this dual token reward system, which, like I said, kind of adds to this flywheel. So the more alpha you stake, the more you'll earn. The more you'll want to stake, and that just flywheel continues. So um, a lot of subnets now are kind of experimenting with the reward system. What's truly going to stick? What's the actual use case for their alpha token? And what we have here is something that just there's an actual use for your alpha token. You'll want to stake it because you'll want to earn more. You'll earn more, and then just that flywheel just keeps going. So, and of course, we'll make this all easy. We've already had some really nice designs that we've been playing with. We'll make this easy for people to add their liquidity. I know even saying, "Hey, as a miner, you'll supply your USDC." People are like, "Well, how will you really do that?" But we have some stuff that we're designing that's going to just make it even easier for people to supply liquidity to 0xMarkets through Cartha, which is subnet 35.
I
So
think
just
that's
to
cool too, because I think it's cool too because like there's so many BitTensor subnets where the technical barrier to entry is really challenging. And for this, I mean, it's just as simple as depositing USDC. And I will add too that I think the initial number as a minimum for being a liquidity provider is going to be somewhere between 100 and 200K. However, we're looking into features to make it a much lower barrier to entry. So think like say me, Ken, and eight of our buddies want to each pool together 10K to get to 100K, we could do that under one miner. And there will be ways to do it. Obviously, you don't have to like know the people. It'll be all locked through smart contracts and all the sort of technical stuff on the back end. But like multiple people could contribute liquidity to one miner, making it much more accessible to provide that liquidity as opposed to like, you have to obviously 100K might be a lot of money for some people. And I think that's something cool that we're working on too. So I'm excited about that because I would love to provide liquidity
Yeah.
too, but I admittedly I don't have 100K to do it. So
Yeah. I mean, because we're addressing such a huge market, Forex, like Luke said, 7 trillion a day, I believe, which is much bigger than the crypto ecosystem. You need a lot of liquidity. So how do you do that? You can pull your assets together. So, and you'll want to do that through this flywheel that's been developed.
I think that makes a lot of sense because right now, what Aerodrome has done on base, and so let me just to walk this back. There will be the website for 0xMarkets for this interface will be on the base layer 2 blockchain, correct?
Yeah. The smart contract
Okay.
side will be on base, and then of course that'll be powered by the BitTensor side as well.
On the EVM side, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So, no, I love the idea that you can coalition because if looking through the light paper, it looks like miners actually receive a decent chunk of rewards. So the ability to, have almost like, builder perps, kind of what HIP3 is in Hyperliquid, to have something like that as a miner in this ecosystem, I think is actually quite powerful. So is it going to be permissionless to a point where you can have coalitions come together to, front that 100, 200K and then have people kind of subscribe in and make kind of make those fees back through their trades or their liquidity provision overall? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Could you explain that a little bit more?
Just pretty much what Luke was mentioning. It's like you have people who are like, I don't have 100K, but I can get 10,
Yeah.
20 of my buddies together and we create a
Yeah.
coalition of sorts.
Yeah.
As a
Yeah.
miner, you do get a good chunk of alpha tokens and trading fees from the platform, and then you can either, I'm assuming, do whatever you want with them, or you can redistribute them back to people who are actually owning in, kind of like a fractional ownership of the liquidity pool,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, there'll be that. Yeah, like Luke was saying, not a lot of people will have that because this is a big market here. We do want a substantial amount of liquidity, so we want to break down the barriers for everyone. Just because this isn't really a market that's addressed by a lot of crypto platforms. So I can't think of many
Right.
other platforms that is doing this. So yeah, kind of like a fractional ownership there'll be some fractional ownership so where a lot of people can get involved, just the everyday person as well. Yeah.
So, Luke, like, my question on this is, clearly the first I'm going to ask about is going to be institutions. Is this an institutional targeted product, or will a lot of institutions benefit from having this type of digital access to Forex?
I think this is really, I would say it plays more so into kind of our ethos at Taoshi of giving anyone and everyone access to these sorts of products or tools they want. Generally, I'd say from our perspective, I think this is tooled a bit more towards retail, but institutions can
Okay.
obviously also get involved and trade on this platform. It really is what our ethos is, which is just making these things accessible to all. So there really should be no specific barriers that would prevent an institution from trading on this platform or using it in whatever which way. I think that one thing that institutions might be more interested in is being a liquidity provider too, just given the substantial amount of funds that they can put forth and then
Yeah.
receive the dual reward system. Which I think is a massive value differentiator, right? Like if you're an LP for a traditional Web 2 platform, you're obviously entitled to trading fees, but you don't get these tokenomic rewards from BitTensor. So I think that's something that's really cool. And that's why, I say earlier, like Victor from GTV is such an excellent designer of subnet incentives and flywheels and all these sorts of things. Like it's a very unique design. And it's really simple to understand. I feel like, even for me, with some of
Mhm.
these other subnets or even ours really early on, it was, challenging to understand in some ways. And it takes your time. It takes time to really wrap your brain around these things. But I feel like with this, it's a lot easier.
Yeah. And one of the things I really like about BitTensor is it's kind of already when you think of like a regular DEX, if there's not much usage and you supply a liquidity, what are you really getting? So if you think about it from the BitTensor side, you supply liquidity, and if you are one of the people who are supplying, if there's only you there, you're still getting a substantial chunk of those fees from BitTensor, not fees, I'll say emissions from BitTensor. So that in itself kind of already props it up from the initial get go, just through the BitTensor side of things. So just to continue with Victor's architecture of this whole system, it's just this flywheel is really just awesome in how it all comes together.
Yeah, look, can you tell me a little bit more about the currencies that are going to be available from a forex standpoint? Because one thing that Aerodrome on Base has done is they've created digital stablecoin versions of these fiat currencies, and so far there's only 10 that are available. I'm guessing you're going to have the full gamut of all of these not we won't call them stablecoins, but fiat forex currencies available for trade day one, correct?
Yeah, so I think initially we're really going to be looking to roll out with maybe some of the top forex pairs. I think there's six or so that are really notable by volume as being like the top major pairs, and they're all denoted or based in USD in some way. So your USD, GBP, USD, USD CAD, USD CHF, USD JPY, like all these pairs should likely be included, as well as BTC and ETH. And then longer term, I think, as we build liquidity and stabilize the platform and all these sorts of things, we'll look to probably add somewhere in the range of 25 to 30 or so pairs. These will be synthetic assets. So kind of like you said, like Aerodrome has done it in a certain way where you do synthetic stable coins and you're trading them against each other. I believe we're taking a similar approach. But just in terms of like the forex market and liquidity and how they move, there's really only about 25 to 30 pairs that are liquid enough in general to trade. This is something I've just learned in my experience over time. So you have your major pairs, like I said, there's like 6 to 8 or so, and then there's about 20 or so pairs that are considered minor pairs, and then there's more pairs that are also minor pairs. But there's only a select handful of these currencies which are really frequently traded against each other. I think it's really probably 7 or 8 currencies, and it combines for that about 30 pairs. But then when you start throwing in some of these other currencies, for example, the Turkish lira or whatever the Chinese currency is, that you'd be surprised, but it's actually one of the lower liquidity pairs, where it makes it pretty difficult to trade. So I wouldn't expect to see those on the platform.
Got it. Ken, as a developer, on this platform, kind of walk me through, having to adapt something that has timing to it into a new permissionless 24/7 market. What's that transition to create a product like this like? And does it take a ton of time? Does it take a different paradigm in how you approach how to create markets like this?
No, that's something that the team has kind of sat down and really thought about, and I think we have kind of a good system down for stuff like that. Just because these are kind of we are kind of playing with these synthetic assets as well here as well, just because blockchain timing, all that stuff. But we think we have kind of a good solution down. We're still fine tuning a lot of it too. So we believe we have a good system down for that. But we're adopting some contracts from GMX there as well. They have a nice system. So yeah, there's some complications around this for sure, but the team is came together and really worked on some good solutions, and I think things will really play nicely.
Does base only take Solidity, or do they take other languages?
I believe that the contracts are only Solidity, so of course you
Okay.
could write it in different things. I haven't actually deployed any contracts on base myself, but if it's an L2, I'm assuming it's just Solidity. But of course you could write it in different languages, which could then compile to the bytecode that it would then take. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I believe they're only Solidity at this time. Arbitrum's the one that has the multi VM for that specifically. So, Luke, I'll throw this to you. What's from a vision standpoint, what are we looking at? I mean, obviously you're looking to get this done in 90 days, but 180 days this time next year? What are we looking at in terms of overall vision, reach, mission, that type of thing?
Yeah, I think, really our goal is, as high as we could possibly go. There's really no limits to what we're trying to do. I would say that I think inherently our goal is to be the largest DEX in the world by volume. It seems to me like, what we set out to do with all these sorts of things. And as Ken kind of alluded to, almost in a way like the hyperliquid for Forex. I don't necessarily like comparing it to hyperliquid because hyperliquid is its own thing. Built an amazing product, but we're looking to be our own kind of beast, I would say. So I think really too, beyond the numbers and the aspirations, I think really what we want to do is just make these sorts of global markets accessible to people in a way that hasn't really been seen or used before. It's definitely challenging to get access to Forex. And I think a lot of market access, generally speaking, across all different types of assets is distributed. You have to go one place for one thing. You have to go to, Hyperliquid for crypto, all these sorts of things. We want to put all that in one place and make it a simple, easy, streamlined experience for traders to come speculate on these assets. And I think hopefully too, we'll see some really performant trading on the platform through our glitch users. So I'm also really excited about that.
Yeah, so I guess let me ask about that, because we talked about the PTN side. Tell me a little bit more about the type of synergies that you see from the glitch side.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. I think we've actually talked some ways about using Glitch as like the liquidity provision platform for these coalesced miners. I don't have too many details on that. Admittedly, it's been pretty early, but from a user standpoint and a consumer standpoint, for example, right now on Glitch, using our crypto strategy, you can plug into Hyperliquid, where you put your funds in Hyperliquid, you connect to Glitch via an API key, and then our strategy will automatically trade on Hyperliquid for you with your funds. It's really the same thing with 0xMarkets, except obviously we'll have access to all these different sorts of markets. So I think that opens up a world of possibilities in terms of the returns. The risk you're taking on, I think, can be lowered if you're distributing tradable assets across markets. One thing we haven't even talked about publicly yet is that we're testing what I call our cross market model. So it trades across crypto and Forex simultaneously. We literally just started testing it this last week. I think it's up like 1.3% in the last couple of days, just from initial testing. So something like that would be great for 0xMarkets, right? Because you have crypto and Forex in one place, and then you can plug your glitch account in just using the cross market model, for example. I think there will be numerous versions. Like you might have a Bitcoin and gold strategy, a silver and ETH strategy is kind of like the derivatives of those two. You might have big seven equities as like tokenized stocks, plus BTC or something. There's an endless realm of possibilities when you were able to build these strategies and then plug them directly into a DEX with so many different tradable assets.
Yeah, the possibilities are really just kind of rolling around in my head, to be quite honest. Ken, I'm going to ask you a question based on kind of the hype of base, but before that, I just want to say thanks to these two gentlemen for joining us today. Check out 0xMarkets. If you want to join the beta, you can definitely do so at 0xmarkets.io is the website. You'll have to scroll a little bit further down towards the bottom of the page, but you can be one of the first to trade along with them. If you like what you're hearing today,
there's one at the top.
Oh, is there one at the top?
Yeah, it's a little.
My bad.
There you go. It's hidden right at the bottom.
It's right there.
Should probably bring that above the fold.
Kenneth, you should bring that above the fold, sir.
Oops.
Or maybe make it bigger. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. There it is right there. There it is right there.
Wait, it gets.
Yep. There. Yeah, you probably want to maybe like pin that a little bit higher up, make it a little bit larger. Kind of just like, hey, check this spot.
Okay.
But yeah, if you guys like what you're hearing, please follow the group, follow the teams on Twitter, go to their website. bless these guys with your likes. Really great project. Really excited to see what you guys do from there. And of course, if you like what you're hearing, please like and subscribe, follow, all of that great stuff from Beacon DeFi. Going to go ahead and talk about the group real quick. You can join if you like what you're hearing. Of course, you want to learn more about decentralized finance and what's going to be on Base and learn about more opportunities. Feel free to join us, school.com/beacon. Absolutely free to join. You can learn from the best and the best. If check out our Start Here post, and if you want to learn more, you can check out all of our offerings. If you want to be part of our high ticket Beacon Mastermind, you can join the best of the best, where these gentlemen are also at, to see all the great content and alpha that we have available for you guys. So, of course, none of this is financial advice. Of course, do your own research, but thanks, of course, to all of our supporters, all of our Beacon Mastermind founding members and Beacon Mastermind members for making what we do possible here at Beat the Banks, which is our weekly. We've been doing Beat the Banks as a community training since January of 2022. So, I know. We're trying to help we're trying to help all this become accessible. So, if you like what you're hearing, you can definitely learn more. Through what we have here at school.com/beacon. So next question is for you, Ken.
Yes.
Base. So there's some things to think about since you guys have mentioned it's going to be on Base. Two questions I'll ask first from a technical standpoint. First, mobile app. Is that coming? That's coming.
Yeah,
mobile interface. How about that?
I will say that's something that probably there hasn't been much talks of the mobile app. We're really still working on building the architecture out, but we're obviously going to make it easy for people to use. We want more people, and people are mobile. A lot of people use their cell phones. So, and the nice thing is there's a lot of these systems that are already built that we could just make it easy for them. So it won't come initially. We're really trying to hone in on the initial, the user experience on a desktop. But that's something that, we want to break down the barriers like Luke has alluded to. So I don't see why not in the future, but not initially.
I think it's really smart because, as you all know, the Base app on Base has more than 1 million people on the wait list trying to come in. So being able to, glue into mini apps or Farcaster to bring what you guys are building here, into the palm of their hands in a social environment, I think is going to be huge.
100%.
So really excited to see, what you guys, build from this standpoint. So, Luke, I want to get your thoughts as a growth guy, seeing the different groups of people that play with regards to different ecosystems. Now, obviously, Base is a really natural choice considering the audience. Is there any chance to possibly see some movement over to, let's say, Solana?
In terms of, I guess, what do you ask in terms of Solana? I'm not the tech guy.
That's true. All right, I'll throw it to Ken then.
Yeah.
Ken, what are the chances that we get? Obviously you're deploying on Base, but if you get that interop moving, obviously there's Bitensor EVM that they do have layer 0 OFTs going all the way over to Solana. Is there some of that tech you could tap into to possibly, get more people coming over? Or?
For sure. I have heard some people in the chatter mention something about Solana. What capacity that will be in and when is yet to be determined. But there's a lot of stuff out there that we are considering, and a lot of things that make it easy for us to port some stuff over. So for sure, there's even some Bitensor subnets and some people working within the Solana ecosystem. So it could be a possibility, but kind of alluding to what I said earlier, we're really honing in on this user experience on Base, and initially that's where and right now we're focusing all our efforts on, just because there's a lot of liquidity there, and but to be determined. There are some chatter about Solana, and we'll see.
Well, Luke, I'll throw this one back to you then, as we kind of look at the one of my favorite ways to look at that subnet data over at tau.app. But with regards to how subnets as commodities work in this ecosystem, Could you kind of just give me a little bit of a summary of where you think Cartha fits in with the other AI powered super commodities in the different subnets, and where can you see a lot of synergy with other subnets coming from?
Yeah, I think that there's starting to be a small ecosystem of trading subnets being built out in BitTensor. Obviously, 35 is tied to us with the
Hmm.
DEX, which is trading related. We have subnet 8. I think there's a few other subnets that are related. I believe Mantis 123 is really
Yeah,
focused on signals and forecasting for markets. I believe there's two more. I want to say Synth, which is 50 or
50. Yeah.
55. Yeah, or is it that I think that they're involved in trading as well? I want to say 88 too. I could be totally off base, but I know there's at least one more
off
that's in
base.
that field. So yeah, off base. But I think that there's definitely some possibilities in the sense of like we can tie these all together in like sort of a mini trading ecosystem within BitSensor itself. But I think that we internally, we really think of Cartha as, it has top one, or it has the potential to be the number one subnet on BitSensor, and then we think that PTN would follow that in the number two spot long term, and that's really what we're aiming for. I think that given PTN is more signal and alpha generation related, whereas you have this massive potential for a product based on top of 35. From my perspective, just transparently, I think that 35 can be much bigger than
Yeah,
8 or any of the other subnets. Um, I
yeah, I
think too,
would.
it'll be interesting. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Ken.
No, I would agree with that. Yeah, just echoing what you're saying, just because. And the cool thing is, I mean, subnets have been around. What we've been at Taoshi for what, couple years now, and subnets have been around for a couple years. I'm assuming, maybe.
January will be 2 years since
Wow,
you and I started.
crazy. So we've had some experience with the subnet design. We've we've transitioned a couple of our ideas. We've pivoted a couple at one time early on, just because we've played around with these subnets. We've kind of get the we're in the ecosystem. I'm making videos on these subnets, so we've kind of comprised a lot of our experience. Us and even the Contango team, who are equally as involved in the BitTensor side of things. So uh, this subnet 35 is just uh, coalescing all that experience into one, and really just taking some of our expertise and ideas, and even my Dex experience, and just creating. So just echoing what Lucas said. Yeah, we truly believe that this could be one of the top subnets. And just to prop that up, I mean, Victor has really worked on this flywheel. There's one of the things I've heard recently about BitTensor is, well, a lot of these subnets are still finding their way. They're still tweaking their tokenomics with their alpha token. What's the use of their alpha token? Well, we have a use for our alpha token. We've designed it in a way that, each system, as we were saying in the onset, each system just kind of props up the other one. There's just this flywheel. So we're really excited about this. I'm super excited personally. Haven't just been thinking about it so much. Haven't slept much. Just been thinking about it a lot. So I'm excited about this
Ken's like
I'm
a kid on
excited.
Christmas morning.
There we go. I'm excited for you guys.
one.
I'll throw you one more question, Ken, before we just kind of wrap up. And again, thanks you guys so much for being here and introducing 0xMarkets to our communities. Really excited to see how this plays out, because to me this is something different, and we love to see that. Um, Base is home, in my opinion, to a very robust agentic economy. We do have multiple projects who work a lot with agentic protocols into BitTensor, Creator.bid being one of them. Even places like Cato have their open Cato subnet, which I believe is what, 5 on it's different. It's called Hone now, right? On the subnet chart. So um what are the chances, from an API standpoint, that you guys offer these the DEX feed out to other agents that want to come in, and they represent, and in some ways, potential liquidity miners in the future?
Yeah, I mean that's I would say they're the chances, the chances, who knows what the chances are in the future, but that's something we're toying with because a lot of BitTensor has this, you know, of- BitTensor is this incentive network, but a lot of people have been using BitTensor AI, all this stuff. Well, it's in there and can be used, and a lot of these things are Legos on top of each other.
Exactly.
We're not leading with AI initially, but we could plug so many things into these agentic not coders, but these agents. We could certainly plug that into this. There's other subnets that are primarily doing these agents or AI. So there's so many Legos with Cartha, with 35, with base, that we could just layer on top of this just to help power this thing. And I know Luke doesn't like it, but what really kind of hones it, like, rings nicely to me is like just hyperliquid on steroids. And we say that just because it's a little bit easier to understand, because of hyperliquid success and all that. But and of course they could plug into different things on their side as well. But we've seen their success. We're just kind of playing a little bit more with the Legos here in a different manner using BitTensor, which we've seen so much success on BitTensor with things like Ridges, with Bitcast, with Taushi. So I'm excited, man. I think this is going to be awesome. What can we plug and play into Cartho, into 35, just to really push this thing? We already have a kick-ass flywheel. What more can we plug into it? And I think there's going to be a lot of stuff and a lot of new things we haven't seen before. I even think Cartha is something that, and 35, which sits on top, is something we haven't seen before. So, what more can we plug into it? So, I'm pumped. You can't tell.
No, I can definitely tell. Luke, I'll let you have the last word, brother, in terms of letting the people know what they can definitely expect with 0xMarkets moving forward.
Yeah, I think really, we're going to have a lot of updates rolling out over the next couple of weeks and months. We'll have a lot of podcasts that we've pre-recorded, as well as more on the way. So we want to be really transparent with the community, just kind of about our development, where things stand, our roadmap, all these sorts of things. So if you're really interested in learning kind of more and digging deep on the tech side, I recommend going to our docs. But you can just click read light paper from our website, and that should have everything you need to really get started. Other than that, hopefully we did a good job giving you guys the 2 cents today. It should be hopefully pretty clear what we're building. I think that the value prop and understanding what's coming, it's pretty straightforward. So I'm excited about that. I think it's something, I think too, just in general, is I'm natively a marketing guy. I get more excited when things are easy to understand. If I see a product that it clicks early enough, then that's good. So I'm stoked about that. I think that like I said, we have about 90 days to rolling this out at most, just a minimum viable product, and then we'll go from there. So I mean, really, just look to stay tuned to our social media for updates. That's where we're going to be super active, and we also have a Discord community already. It's a little hidden. It's on our website at the bottom, community, or you can go to our X. We tweeted it yesterday, so it's there. It's ready, and our team's ready to answer questions if you have any. So feel free to come join and chat with us.
It's gonna
Awesome.
be huge,
Huge. Huge. Guys, thank you guys so much for joining us. This is Luke and Ken from Taushi. We're part of the team who's put together 0xMarkets at 0xmarkets.io. And with General Tao Ventures, also part of Contango Digital Assets. Give them a look. They're gonna be making some waves, I think, definitely in the next couple of weeks. So thank you guys, of course, for being here, being friends of the show, being part of our TVL rotating panelists. This is our Beat the Banks community training. I try and tackle a different decentralized finance or blockchain investing topic every week to help anyone who's out there who's a little curious about crypto, or they have crypto, want to get that money working for them. They want to figure out better ways to do that. You can definitely do that with our content, from Beat the Banks. So give us a follow, give them a follow, and we'll see you next week. Thanks guys for being here. And let's see where 0xMarkets is gonna go, because they've made a splash, guys, and I'm really, really excited to see what happens next.
Thanks
With
for
that
having us
said,
on, Chris.
Yeah,
of
thanks for
course,
having us, Chris.
you keep beating those banks out there, guys, and we'll see you next week for another Beat the Banks episode. We say here, beacons up, banks down. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.